Welcome to CLN 3's marketing pitch for a digital registry, compliance with clarity. My name is Chris and I'll be talking about the introduction and the external analysis.
Hello, my name is Emma and I will be discussing the internal, SWOT and tails analysis.
Hi, my name is Felicity and I'll be discussing design thinking and target segmentation.
Hi, my name is Angie and I'll be discussing the strategic process, smart objectives and the prototype process. Hello, my name is Kathleen and I will be talking about implementation, controls and conclusion.
The new rules for the procurement stewardship legislation has created an exciting opportunity for a first mover digital registry to show how a tender complies with these changes. The key changes that tenders are going to need to show are how much locally produced material will be sourced, how it will contribute to local employment, how it will grow local skills, the whole life cost of the project, and that the materials comply with Australian product standards. Product-wise, an example of such a digital registry, which can show how resources used within a government-funded project comply with the new regulations. A digital registry of this magnitude will demonstrate to Australian voters the positive impact government projects have on the Australian economy, including employment, and that government projects can be built to a high quality and to meet voter expectations in terms of safety and quality. Several different analyses were done into the external market for a digital registry. These analyses led to the opportunities and threats that will be discussed later in the presentation. An industry analysis showed that the government projects worth over $5 million in the 2015-16 financial year equate to a value of $44 billion. The construction industry for 2015-16 was worth $349.3 billion. This makes it was 8% of the market for the year. Due to the general slowing down of private construction and minor energy projects, these rule changes will have an impact on a significant part of the industry moving forward. A consumer analysis showed that the primary consumers for the digital registry were the government, builders and architects as project tender teams. Secondary markets could include superannuation funds and other private financiers, and insurance companies, as better quality products used in the construction process mean less payouts. An in-depth analysis of the end users' higher motives has shown that the motivation for most politicians is to get re-elected again. This provides an opportunity for key members of parliament to be targeted with select messages about the positive outcomes and stories from a digital registry. A PESTEL analysis, which is an acronym for political, economic, social, technology, legal and environmental analysis, demonstrated these key issues. The current political climate in Australia is one of instability, driven by a lack of confidence in government and politicians. Politically, a digital registry is easily affected by short-term volatility. Australia is among the top 10 largest producers of solid waste, and the construction industry in Australia is responsible for 1/3 of this waste. There is lower employment in the manufacturing industry as local products are considered costly in comparison to imports, regardless of certification. Socially, the impact of substandard material in the construction industry is the higher cost to consumer and taxpayer, both economically and personally, resulting in reduced confidence in the building and construction industry. Compliance in the construction industry is manual, ad hoc, and individual independent in terms of procurement records. Environmentally, the high volume of solid waste in the construction industry and lack of a circular economy allow for fewer environmental achievements. Higher quality products result in longer building life cycles to decrease the overall cost to society and the consumer. A competitor analysis has shown that there's not any direct competition product-wise. There are other registries that show certain product certifications, for example, watermark and plumbing products, or are manual product registries. Registries demonstrate the breadth of product certifications or ease of use that product-wise aims to have. As evidenced by the new Perth Children's Hospital being found to have asbestos-filled products, current trends show that there are currently substandard products being used in both private and publicly funded projects. These low-quality products are being used to increase profit margins and lead to higher maintenance costs or reduced operational life cycles. Unfortunately, it is difficult to ascertain the actual cost of the government and, by extension, taxpayers. A positive impact of the legislation and digital registry would be improved long-term employment within the Australian manufacturing industry, improved operational life cycles for government projects, and reduce maintenance costs due to higher quality buildings. One of the major key success factors is the adoption and enforcement of the digital registry by the federal government. This will require changes to legislation at all levels of government. Creating public awareness about the benefits of a digital registry would also play a very important role. However, acceptance and utilisation by the broader construction industry will be the first major hurdle of the government to advocate the registry. Early adopters in multiple industries should be encouraged and be rewarded in the tendering process, as they have shown that they're prepared to meet expectations during government tenders. Success with digital registry will lead to job creation in multiple industries, adding more skills and industry experience to Australia as a whole, decreased waste, increased competition in the manufacturing and construction industries, and increased certification infrastructure. Now I'll pass you on to Emma, who will provide a breakdown into the internal factors in SWOT analysis.
The internal analysis is comprised of three sections: strengths, weaknesses, and the Ansoff matrix. Firstly, all of the strengths can be categorized according to three key areas. Number one, the online platform or channel of information distribution. This includes reach, ease of maintenance, minimal cost, and compatibility. Number two, manufacturers. These strengths surround ownership and responsibility, product exposure, and minimal cost. And finally, number three, database users, encompassing ease of access and use, trust, transparency, and comprehensiveness. In contrast, weaknesses fell into either legislation or content categories covering uniformity, compliance, authenticity, and dependency. This Ansoff matrix shows the diversification options for a company introducing a digital registry, including whether to move into new markets with existing products, new products into existing markets, or into both, new product in a new market. The top left-hand quadrant of the matrix is categorized by market penetration. In this section, the key points included heavier promotion targeting primary consumers, demonstration of the new level of transparency, trust, and accountability, and communication of the benefits of compliance and database participation. Additionally, the top right-hand corner is known as product development. The notable identified points in this section were the database's digital format, resulting in greater access, low cost, and timely updating of content, in addition to consolidation, as it is a comprehensive database with use from design to completion. Conversely, the bottom left-hand quadrant of the matrix is concerned with market development. The most appropriate strategy in this section centers on the idea of increasing database awareness and reach to communicate the benefits to others. Finally, the bottom right-hand corner is categorized as diversification, with the virtual project being the most prominent identified point. A SWOT analysis was conducted to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to a digital registry. The findings were tabulated as shown on your screen. The strengths that were identified include cost versus benefits. This means that there are low costs in exchange for greater trust, transparency, compliance, and access. Reach, in that the database can transcend physical boundaries. And stakeholder involvement, by which partnerships with manufacturers as owners of data input and responsibilities for maintenance of the system are formed in exchange for product exposure. This has had the least number of identified points that consisted of uniformity of descriptions, where information provided may be too standardized and not specific enough for builders, manufacturers, and consumers. Manufacturers are the owners of data input, making it quite difficult to control the data to ensure its authenticity, as manufacturers are inputting the data directly. And difficulty to audit the data inputted, meaning compliance checks need to be in place to ensure imported data is correct. The external analysis is used to identify the opportunities and threats portion of SWOT analysis. With opportunities, relevant points included heightened confidence in the government, the creation and/or maintenance of local jobs, greater transparency, and the fact that it's beneficial to a wide range of stakeholders. Finally, the notable threats were lack of state enforcement, pushback from within the industry, the passing of costs to consumers, and political instability. With this information, strategies began to formulate using a TALS analysis. The TALS analysis is an extension of the SWOT analysis in that it uses the tabulated SWOT data to create a more complex matrix, taking these findings into consideration. The strengths and opportunities, or SO strategy, centered largely on demonstration. For example, SO2 is demo version of the product targeting builders utilizing Australian Builders Network, or similar, to link to a demonstration website of the ease of use of the product. Another example is SO3, demo version for architects linked to their platform and how it would integrate with the digital registry. Aside from demonstration, many strategies were associated with education and awareness, such as SO4. Advertise to the general public to increase awareness, which should lead to a greater expectation of quality. ST, or strength and threat strategies, also follow the themes of education and demonstration, with ideas including demonstrate low cost of maintenance, ease of keeping up to date, and on-site use should limit pushback from within the industry. Education of all levels of users, utilizing demonstration data from actual construction and building, and offering demonstrations to each certification authority to offer it to its clients. Manufacturers using the system can demonstrate the value of the digital registry and recommend to other stakeholders. Educate builders to the cost savings from use of quality products and not having to redo or replace junk or poor quality products. To minimize the weaknesses, strengths, and opportunities require utilization. In this quadrant, 2 points were identified. These were legislation changes from the federal and state governments mandating standards are adhered to and documented leads to uniformity through certification. And general public knowledge and greater transparency will keep manufacturers accountable for the products they supply and submit. An analysis of the weaknesses and threats resulted in only 1 point. Demonstrate ease of use and variety of uses for the government. If enforced, foreign government projects will lead to greater adoption. I will now let Felicity talk about design thinking and target segment.
Thanks, Emma. To define the strategic plan, we utilize the double diamond method to redefine the problem. Discover, define, develop, and deliver all stages in the double diamond method to ensure iteration of ideas into a solution. Along this process, we identified the new opportunity with the introduction and enforcement of the legislation with the Product Stewardship Law 2011. As Chris discussed, the PESTEL analysis demonstrated the external contributors to the need for a digital registry. Internal analysis allowed us to define the registry as an easy-to-use online portal to access certified products and incorporate mobile technology. At this stage, the problem was redefined to question how to inform stakeholders of the value in using a digital registry for procurement in the construction industry. From this point, a strategic marketing plan was developed that recognised the need to demonstrate the value of the digital registry to the key stakeholders in the construction industry. A stakeholder map was developed to identify and recognise all within the community affected by the construction industry and therefore by the procurement process within it, from government officials who determine and enforce the law, as well as instigate large-scale public infrastructure products, down to the general population. Homeowners, investors, and taxpayers are all affected. However, the most affected by these changes are those employed in the industry: construction companies, manufacturers, builders, architects, contractors, surveyors, and certifiers. From the stakeholder mapping and our target segment of the government, by identifying the target persona, we can envision the government official driving the legislation, making policy decisions and introducing a digital registry to deal with the issues of waste and substandard quality in the construction industry. As the Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, the Minister desires delivering to his constituents to deliver high-quality taxpayer-funded projects on time and on budget to the expectations of all in the community. Policy changes like these will deliver the environmental and social changes the community desires. Customer journey maps for the construction procurement process were developed based on legislation. The scenario is a new public funded hospital to be built in Victoria. This initial journey map is the scenario without a digital register and no current process to enforce the product stewardship legislation. Through the journey, this highlights the pain points that are a negative experience, from the point where the onus is on the site manager to ensure compliance and certification of each product, increased cost to the consumer and delay in delivery, resulting in the potential for issues with the finished product that may or may not result in legal issues with substandard or uncertified products or structural or financial burdens. In comparison with the introduction of the digital registry into the same scenario, it leads to a streamlined process, allowing for easy maintenance of data, certification checks by all interested parties, and from construction companies, builders, architects, and most importantly, certifiers, which will result in a report on utilised products, delivery of projects on time and on budget, and building the reputation of all involved in the digital registry's use. Now I will pass over to Angie to discuss strategy.
Thank you, Felicity. Once we had identified the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities, a strategy prioritization tool was used to identify the value out of each strategy. As you can see in this quadrant, strategies were categorized based on their level of effort and level of benefit. From this prioritization process, we were able to highlight those strategies that fell into the categories of quick wins, major projects, fill-in projects, or hard-slog projects. This provides the opportunity to prioritize projects for those that will provide the greatest benefit to the organisation with the resources available. Once we had identified which strategies should take priority, we tabled and ranked our strategic ideas. Through this process, we could see that our preferred strategy was to demonstrate the ease of use to all levels of government, and to push for government enforcement to ensure adaptation and compliance by the wider industry. This strategy is also referred to as WT1. To do this, a demonstration version of the online building registry will be developed targeting industry partners, including builders and architects, using pre-existing industry platforms to demonstrate the ease of use of the product. This strategy combined S02 and S03. The third strategic idea is to implement a trial version of the building registry with a property development company such as Lendlease for a fixed period to demonstrate the ease of use of the product, troubleshoot ideas and users. This strategy is referred to as S04. This strategy would allow further development of the prototype during the 6-month trial period. Following on from the strategy prioritization process, SMART objectives were developed for each of the proposed strategies. By analysing each strategy against SMART goals allows clarification on the specificity, measurability, achievability, relevance, and timescale expected for each solution. As you can see in the SMART objectives table, each of the strategies we had highlighted as being a priority has been broken down into these objectives. Of our first ranked strategy, WT1, we considered the following: specific, demonstrate ease of use and the possible variety of uses to all levels of government, push for government adaptation and compliance by the wider industry. Measurable, has the registry and its benefits been shown to key stakeholders at all levels of government? Has the legislation around compliance around government projects changed? Achievable, the legislation is already being enacted at the federal level. It will need to be passed or supported by the state governments to ensure compliance at the state level. The registry is a way for the broader industry to show compliance to the legislation and for the government to validate these claims. Relevance. Without a registry, it would be extremely difficult to ensure that legislation has been complied with. And timely. The registry needs to be in place by the time the legislation passes government. To demonstrate the ease of use and simple application of a digital registry, a prototype was developed. In the prototype, ProductWise has been employed as an example of how the mobile application would be used. The image here demonstrates the prototype for the use of the mobile technology from the perspective of the builder. This image shows the simple process of taking possession of the product, installing it, and scanning the code on the product to ensure it meets strict Australian certification standards. I will now pass it over to Sableen, who will discuss the implementation, controls, and conclusion.
Thank you so much, Angie. Now I will talk about the implementation. The digital registry was prototyped to test its success chances in the long run. This provided the opportunity for issue resolution, scope for improvement, and features for adaptation if necessary. Lobby government. The aim is to meet with the identified stakeholders within the elected party after testing phase to introduce and demonstrate the added value the registry will bring to the construction industry. The main aim is also to demonstrate the proven product in the workforce and application by trial, feedback, and redesign. Prototype cost. The cost for implementing the digital registry is limited in terms of outlay and in terms of manpower. The most significant cost to the government will be advertising to key stakeholders. The cost to the government will be mitigated by the long-term savings in lower maintenance costs for the government buildings. The estimated total budget is $500,000, and when you break it down, It's 250,000 for ministerial business, 100,000 for digital advertising, 100,000 for print advertising, and 50,000 for workflow integration. Testing. The testing will be completed within the first 6 months of launching. During the testing stage, if there are any issues, it will be fixed in conjunction with the use. Once the product has passed the testing stage, the team will gather feedback and rectify issues as they arise. Final implementation will occur in conjunction with testing to ensure rapid uptake within the market. Prototype evaluation. This prototype helps us to identify the strengths, weaknesses, and the pain points what is being used in the practical environment by its targeted users. Testing will allow the organization to monitor the true cost of undertaking the digital registry and to conduct proper feasibility analysis. Summarizing the previous slide, you can see Gantt chart that shows the breakdown of the timeline, uploading the products to the database, testing, fixing bugs, receiving feedback, ready for commercial use, and lobbying government. Controls. The database has been assigned a 6-month testing period and is reliant upon user feedback. As such, success will be dependent upon Registry's execution as a digital database, and it's measured per its ability to demonstrate its value to different levels of government, ROI, and benefits to taxpayers and users. In the event of failure, the digital registry will require modification to better suit the needs of its users. The degree of adoption will be determined by the scope of changes required. For example, a minor change can be rectified immediately, whilst major changes will require reassessment and further investigation. If major changes are necessary, options such as extension for the trial period and/or redesigning of the platform can be explored. Conclusion. We have used a variety of tools. A marketing plan encompassing several strategies were formed in the situation analysis. Potential strategies were formulated through an analysis of macro and micro environments before undergoing an elimination process to focus on the development and testing of feasible, viable, and desirable strategies. In exploiting these tools, priority was placed upon demonstration of ease of use and variety of applications to a broad range of stakeholders, including federal, state, and territory governments. To illustrate the registry's benefit to the government and its associated stakeholders, a trial version was devised, prototyped, analyzed in preparation for implementation. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.